Our next presenter comes from the division I work in, Spark, which is our Education and Outreach division here at UCAR. And so Randy Russell will work with our next presentation.
Okay, so for those of you who aren't aware, Spark is what used to be Education and Outreach, E&O, and we've been doing a lot of work in the recent years with games and simulations. So that's what I'd like to talk to you about. We deliver some of them via the web and some of them through our public exhibit spaces here in the Mesa Lab. So in case you haven't noticed, a lot of kids these days are kind of interested in computer games. And as much as I like to see kids get outside and do hands-on things, one of the realities is that they are spending a lot of time in these environments, and can we use that interest in a way that's learning about useful things and not just more Pokemon names? So I'm going to split my talk into a couple of things. One is to sort of talk about games, which is sort of represented on the left here, things with scores and levels. The other is simulations and virtual labs and things of that nature, and sort of try and meet in the middle or tell you the kind of things that we're doing in each of those environments. One of the challenges with games is they're often easy to make, inexpensive, but sometimes the simple ones don't have a lot of educational value. So the trick is to try and figure out how to ramp that up. So here's a simple puzzle game with a timer, but there's not a huge amount of educational content. The other side of the coin is with some of the simulations. They've been used for quite a while in the military and medicine. Flight simulators for aircraft training clearly have value, but some of those things are pretty darn expensive. So we've been trying to come up with strategies of ways to make that less expensive so that we can do that more. So here's a simple memory game. The idea here is you click on these tiles, they flip over to reveal pictures. You try and keep track of where did I see that one before? So it's basically an image recognition thing. Not exactly a high level of learning. At least you're paying a little bit of attention to the features. But what can we do to ramp that up a bit? So one thing we can do is instead of matching identical things, so looking for a picture that's just the same, we can say, well, here's the word cirrus. Where did I see a tile that was a cirrus cloud? So now we're moving a little bit up. It's not the highest level sort of learning, but we're moving from just recognizing an image to saying, I can identify that feature. Another similar notion, we did one of these memory games around atmospheric chemistry. So here we just have the notion of matching identical things, but then we can go into equivalent representations, a ball and stick version of a molecule versus a space-filling one, and other representations that are equivalent, make these different levels of the game. Here's a sorting game. The idea is that you take different types of clouds and put them into bins based on altitude. This is reusable. We can make a second level, as we do in this one, with sorting them by composition, ice, water, mixtures. We're also doing a version of this for HAO for some aspects of the sun. I'm going to shift gears now into the sort of simulation type of stuff, virtual labs, things of that nature. NOAA's done some interesting things of flying into virtual hurricanes. We've got a simple climate model, some ballooning, and this represents a virtual lab on gas chemistry. We had a lot of success working with folks at COMET. I think collaboration is one of the real keys to bringing the price down on this. We have some areas of expertise. They had ones. There was a nice fit. They obviously have a huge resource library that we were able to tap into through their MedEd collection. An example of this, they had some beautiful animations, and you should go see the animations out on one of our touch screens of this, of clouds forming, thunderstorms, and that kind of thing. We worked with them to sort of repurpose this for a different audience, to make a simple interface that's easy to work with the public and for younger students. Beyond the confines of our own walls here, the collaboration with COMET went well. We've also done some work, Space Science Institute here in Boulder as well. We licensed their Magneto mini golf in the space weather. We're talking with NOAA about doing some virtual world sort of stuff. This is an example of some of the kind of things that they've been able to do. Obviously, things like field campaigns could be represented this way. You can do things like fly on aircraft, could be our aircraft. You can also do things that you can't even do in the real world, like fly on a weather balloon. So this character is actually taking a flight there. So Spark is really interested in doing more of this kind of work. We think we've found a few ways to collaborate with folks and to do it either more effectively or more inexpensively. So if you have an interest in working with us, please be in touch. Thank you.
Any questions for Randy? Well, hold your thoughts till later. We can have a whole audience discussion about some of these things at the end.